This is my friend, Cynthia Norton. She is a famous fabric textile artist that transforms things into amazing other things. So, Cynthia, tell me about your inspiration for your unique work.
Well, it's usually the fabrics. It can be a lot of it. I mean, it can be all kinds of things. It can be, the way that, I don't know, it can be anything from nature. It can be a lot of things. But initially, often it's the fabric that I buy and transform in one way or another. And there's lots and lots of different kinds of fabrics that I work with. This is a crinkle silk. This is a silk organza. So that's a stretchy, textured fabric. That's a sheer flat fabric. This is I guess I don't remember what that is actually. But it has a bit of a luster, and it's got a warp and weft that are different colors, so that gives it.
But all these colors you painted.
Yeah, I mean the
right
initial
on the
fabric was just the gray, but you can see it's.
Yeah.
That's sort of how it looked. So it had a bit of a luster to start with, and then I added all this textural stuff to it by painting. And then this is this sheer silk chiffon, a very sheer drapey fabric, and it's a piece that I've done repeatedly.
Oh, I love that one.
Partly because I just got a good image of it. It's hard to get a good image that goes on a postcard. But anyway, so there's a version of it hanging on the wall that I'm about to start painting.
Ooh, let's
So this is how
But
it
on
works.
the way over, I just want to show you, this is the way an artist studio looks. This, I mean, really, couldn't you just love any of this on a dress or a jacket?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we got here? Just a bunch of, what kind of paints are these?
This is fabric paint. So what it does is it binds to the fiber of the paint, of the fabric,
Right.
once it's heat set, which I do by putting it in the oven.
So,
So,
let's see what she's going to make out of this.
let's see. So now, here's what happens.
Oh, cool.
These are all paints I just mixed, so hopefully they'll have the right consistency to go merrily dripping down the fabric.
So what kind of fabric is this?
This is silk chiffon.
Wow, and where do you get your fabrics?
Well, this one comes from China. There's a company that sells to, small artisans like me, and you can buy 5 yards or 5,000 yards or whatever.
And then you just let it drip and look at her shoes.
Yeah, just let it drip. That's one of the ways the floor gets to looking like that.
Cool. So that just dries like that.
Yeah.
You're going to cover this whole jacket with this.
Yes.
And why is it shiny like this? What is
Because it's wet. It won't be shiny after it dries.
that? Oh, I mean inside the fabric.
Oh, because I have plastic inside so that the paint doesn't leak over to the front of the piece.
So how do you take care of this? What do you do?
Well, they all go in the washer and dryer. I mean, this one.
Really?
This one is. The paint is no problem in the washer, or in hand or machine washing, either way. The paint won't be affected. This particular fabric will be a pain to iron after you've washed it.
It won't melt the paint if you try to iron
It does not. No, it doesn't. The paint is designed, to withstand that. So
That's why it's called fabric paint, right?
yes, it is.
Oh, so then you mix it with water?
So I've added water to this to give it hopefully the right consistency for it to drip down like it's doing.
Oh, it's very... But you don't match anything, so the other sleeve won't look like this sleeve.
Right. I mean, I try to balance it but not match it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for symmetry within, or asymmetry within symmetry, I guess.
So where would we find your pieces to buy them?
Well,
Ooh, that's cool.
there's one store in New York that carries my work, and that is called Ann On, and it's at 76th and Madison.
Good place.
Yeah.
And then you have
And then
email.
I obviously sell out of my studio, and I have craft shows that I do in the summer. And
That looks like fun.
I have one store in Scottsdale that I sell to sometimes.
So this is one of those things you wouldn't want to try at home, right? Because look.
I don't know. Right. I mean, not unless you
I mean, you make it
are
look like,
prepared.
okay, I could just take some paint and just...
And maybe you could.
No, I don't think so. I think the most creative, talented people make what they're doing look simple when it's not.
That's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it is sort of about controlling the accidents. Like, I kind of want this sort of thing to happen. But when I cross over this drip with that drip, it might or might not, drip all the way down and cover up the blue, or meld into the blue, or pass over the blue. You never know exactly, but...
Which is the good accident. So
Yeah.
then when you get this all painted, what's the next step?
Turn it around and paint the other side. And obviously I have to let it dry.
Right.
And then once it's dry, then it gets folded up and stuck into a pan and goes into the oven. And then it has to get ironed, which in this case is quite the pain in the ass. But
Why do you have to iron it? I mean, what does that do?
oh, because how when you fold something and heat it, you don't want the creases and
Oh, okay.
that sort of.
How high do you heat them? I mean, what's the temperature?
225.
Oh, so you've got this down, girl.
Yep.
So when did you start making these? I mean, was it an accident or?
Kind of. I mean, I started painting, for some reason I started painting t-shirts. Because I was trying to do dance and that wasn't working out. And my friend said, "Oh, this is fantastic. You have to sell these and so on." And so t-shirts became scarves, became clothing.
And whenever you first started, were you trying to make a design, or did you do this kind of like freeform things then?
I would say, yeah, I took a similar approach. Fairly
So
freeform.
I want to show you now some of her pieces in the other room. So this is coming into Cynthia's actual studio. She lives in Chautauqua, New York, full-time, year-round, and she has this cute little studio. She's right on the lake. People come down to see her things when they're here to visit, and I'm going to show you some of her latest pieces that I've just fallen in love with. Every year when we come to Chicago, I come to visit Sue to see what Cynthia's made since last time. And look at this beautiful piece. And this is sort of like what she's working on now, but it's a finished piece of it. And by the way, Cynthia makes her own buttons. Aren't those the cutest? This one, I love this. Let me move this so you can see the whole piece. And then this, an example of just letting it drip, which is what she was just doing. I think this one's on silk. I love this idea. So she's sort of famous for this drip thing. Let me show you how this one works. Now look at this. This is a whole jacket that she made. This is sort of one of her signature pieces. She does this one a lot. And it always seemed to have a surprise coming up. Like, look how this pocket came out different. See, can you see? Really well done. And again, she makes her own buttons. And here's the artist. What were you going to say?
Well, that sometimes I forget how I accomplish things. Like, like in the process of dyeing this, which started out white, I got the ribs of this turned out two colors that are so different from one another. Usually there's a bit of difference, like there is here. There's some difference, but
wow.
usually to get red, one rib red and the other one green.
Yeah, and look at this
Is
one.
mine? Well, that I painted.
Oh, you did.
But see,
Oh, I
that's
see.
how it was after I dyed it. And like, how the heck did I do that? I have no idea.
Wow.
I haven't been able to.
So then you just take a paint brush. Is that how you did this?
Well, actually, this was done with a couple of things. One of them being a roller that's used for, what's it called? Wood graining.
Oh.
So you see this sort of circular pattern here?
Yes.
That's from a roller that has that circular pattern on it. It's just going along with this roller.
So this started out as white fabric
Yeah.
that had this kind of pucker on it.
Yes.
And that
it
was
has the
it.
ribbing. Yes.
Oh, the ribbons.
Yeah, and it's silk and linen, so the two fibers take the dye differently. So hence you get always some, enhancement of the ribbing by dyeing it.
And by the way, for you that are listening to this, these are all one of a kind. So if you love something that's on this film, you're going to have to get it right away because there's not another one. And she can never. Did you hear her say she don't even know how she does it? The magic just happens. Look at this beautiful piece.
Now
And
this
is
piece,
taking tie-dye to a whole new level.
right? So this piece is a bamboo jersey, and I
Look how it flows.
did it. It came purple, this purple,
Oh.
and what I did is took cable ties and bound it up like this. So like this from here to here on the diagonal, and then four different ones like that. Okay, so there's a cable tie there, and then I dip it into color remover, which is really noxious. And
Color remover?
yeah, color remover, and it takes the color. It takes the purple out. It leaves usually a sort of a yellow color. So then after that, then I over dyed it red.
Ah.
Dipped it back in those same configurations to catch it.
Wow. This is another part of her studio, by the way. This is where she just has all these little rooms with all these things going on. Washer and dryer is important. Stove and oven is important. Ironing board's important. To accomplish all of these.
That's where all the
Amazing.
dyeing happens.
That's where the dyeing happens. Where does the living happen? And there is one more. I'm just going to show you this because guess what? I'm buying this one. So it's already gone. And then this, tell us about this. This is one of your latest pieces.
Yeah, well, I've been playing around with the whole idea of creating these kind of shadows of an image that I get by putting a blob of paint and then washing it out while it's still somewhat wet.
What fabric is that?
These are both linen.
Oh. And what's your
So-
plan for this? Do you have a plan yet?
Yeah, it's going to be a shirt. It'll be a shirt,
Wow, that'll be great.
with a collar and there's a fairly basic shirt, but one side this color, this fabric, the other side this fabric.
And that's just blobs of paint.
Yeah, blobs of fabric.
See,
paint,
it
yeah.
seems like it would be so easy, but what we know, this is not something for the people who don't
Right,
know.
and I do these tests, I think, okay, now I know how it works, and then I go to try it on a big piece like this, and it comes out quite differently. So then I have to figure out how to work with the way it came out differently.
But you love
that's
this,
the
right?
way-
I mean,
oh,
is this
yeah,
like the
I
passion of
do.
everything you do?
Yeah, well, I have lots of passions, but yes,
Oh,
that's
oh.
one.
So this is Cynthia Norton, and I'm going to give you her email address on the bottom of this last page so that you can contact her if you're interested in any of the pieces you see here. Because like I said, there's only one of a kind. Thanks. Bye.